think I've already made it clear that as much as I do love The Mandalorian, it is full of problems. One of the things which stuck out to me the most was the fight in Chapter 14, the tragedy. I do not know how many people picked up on this episode, but I think the production quality is quite poor. At least poor for a big TV production, and especially poor for an official Lucasfilm production. I do love The Mandalorian show, so know that these criticisms do come from a place of passion. I critique the show because I love the show, otherwise I just wouldn't care. The first time I watched these fights, I realised something was a little off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, however. The only thing I noticed on my first watch was Boba Fatt, which I did get a good chuckle out of, but a lot of elements were off in other places as well. So I decided to dig a little deeper and see what I could find. Before I get to the fight itself, I do have some other criticisms about Chapter 14. For a start, I'm curious why Tython looks like the middle of nowhere California. It lends a very fan film aesthetic, and not in a good way. It makes it look cheap in a hell of a lot of shots. The confusing part is, I thought they were using the new virtual production technology, which allows them to create any environment that they wanted. So they could have created a more Tython looking world. Because there is no reason why this world is Tython, it makes it feel like a bit of a forced inclusion. The Mandalorian doesn't make use of the lore of the world at all. When I heard temple, I was thinking more temple, not Stonehenge. I don't really like the design of the one in the Old Republic, but at least it fits the description of a temple. And because they don't do anything with the lore, this could have been any other planet with a tiny shrine. If they at least made the world look more like Tython, I would have given them props. Like being covered in ruins and maybe actually adding a Jedi temple which would add history to this world and its significance with the Jedi. But we get this little thing. That's it. Tython was also established as being kind of difficult to get to in this era. Since the show loves stretching things out and sidetracking, they could have had a whole episode of how they got to Tython. Before anyone asks me why it matters that Tython isn't Tython, well, in this specific context, it's an adaptation of Legends Tython, which means there is no lore to contradict. However, when it comes to adapting something, you can deviate a little bit from the original source material, but what you can't do is take the original thing and throw it out the window and just do whatever the hell you wanted, especially the core elements of what you are adapting. Imagine if someone said, right, all the films are no longer canon, they remade all of them, but Tatooine was an ocean world, Coruscant was a small moon, Endor was a metropolis, and Camino was a space station which specialised in serving McDonald's. I hope now you see the issue here, and again, as I've explained, because it doesn't share any elements with Tython, and there is no reason for it to be Tython, it could have been any other planet. So, now, let's get into the action. It doesn't really take long for problems to start arising. This moment is fine on first viewing, but on the second viewing you start to question, where did the shots come from? You could say Boba, but he's only using a gaffy stick and a cycler rifle. You could say Mulan, wait Mulan. She's back. I thought she was dead.
In my case, Boba Fett was that fate.
She's got robotic organs now. And Boba did this in the desert. He just happened to have exactly the tools he would need to do major surgery.
You look like you've just seen a ghost.
You were dead.
He was left for dead on the sands of Tatooine.
No. I'm pretty sure she wasn't left for dead. I'm pretty sure she was dead. She was shot in the stomach and died. There was a teaser of an ominous figure, but that's not going to change the fact she's dead. It's the dead of night, which means she's been laying there dead for hours. Look, if you really wanted to do more of this character, maybe you shouldn't have killed them off. A simple fix would just to have her left out in the desert, cuffed, and when Boba finds her, freezing, dehydrated, and near death, it would have made more sense. I mean, it's the desert. Of course someone's going to be near death with no food, water, or even shelter. Anyway, Mulan couldn't have taken those shots because she's on a completely different rock. There's no way she could have shot those shots from that angle. So, who fired the damn shots? I guess they just materialized out of nowhere. A simple fix would just be to put Mulan on the rock behind Boba, which is the direction the fire came from. Moving on, I admit that Tamina Morrison as Boba Fett is perfect. The guy just embodies being badass. He just steals the show in this interaction.
I'm a simple man making his way through the galaxy, like my father before me.
Fine show, you got me in my soft spot. I'll give you credit for that line. It was a good callback. It was badass, and it worked well within the conversation. Unlike The Rise of Skywalker, which was just stupid.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be fucking stupid.
Let's all put down our weapons. Have a chat. There's no need for bloodshed.
Tell her to drop the gun.
After you put down the jetpack.
I'm having a hard time following this conversation. Did I miss something? Why does he care about the jetpack? Surely he should be more concerned with the weapon being aimed at him. I mean, Mando just puts the weapon down anyway to put down the jetpack, but it's very disjointed dialogue. We know the narrative reason why they don't want Mando to have his jetpack, because they don't want him flying after the Dark Troopers. But he could have easily picked it up again before he ran off. Considering the Mandalorian is in a bit of a hurry, you think he would have chosen the fastest means of transportation, which would be his jetpack. So Mando gets knocked out for a little bit, and we have a bit of action with Mulan and Boba. The start of the scene is fine, I guess. The CGI stormtrooper looks a little bit weird. They could have used a little bit more work. The set jumps around a little. In this shot, the ship lands right next to the Razor Crest, but then it teleports over there at a completely different angle. It then teleports again in the background of the cannon getting blown up, and it should have been facing towards the stormtroopers, not off in that direction. It then teleports again in a different location, and then it changes again when the second ship lands. It then changes again when Mando looks down at the ships, and it changes again when the ships are destroyed. With the start of the battle between the stormtroopers, Boba Fett, and Mulan, it's mostly fine. So far, all it really is them shooting from the high ground, but again it has a cheap fanfiction aesthetic that it struggles to shake. Boba is cool when he's beating up everyone with his gaffy stick, but apparently he has teleportation powers because those stormtroopers are up there, and then he goes behind a rock and appears behind them. I didn't pick this up because I didn't realise how far they were away. I just assumed he stuck around the rock, but this is a huge jump. The only way I could explain this is that there is a time jump in the way it is edited, but he just pops out into existence behind the stormtrooper. Other than teleporting Boba, this with him beating people up with stormtroopers, it's good, I think. I guess. I don't have any problems with it. So when all the first stormtroopers die, another wave runs out of the ship, like they were just waiting around inside the ship. Wouldn't it be better if they left the ship at the same time? This isn't a video game, is it? The two stormtroopers sitting up the cannon just pop into existence along with the mortar trooper. These two just stand out in the open. She has plenty of time to shoot them, and we can even see she's got an easy shot from her perspective. They're right there, but she lets them set up the cannon anyway. Why is she leaving them alone to set up the cannon? Running away from the cannon is kind of stupid, because all they would have to do is aim slightly ahead of her and she'd be ripped apart. It's easy because the Axis can move a lot faster than she can run. She also could have just easily jumped over the other side of the hill instead of running across it. That would have made a hell of a lot more sense. Apparently, the stormtroopers went to the Prometheus school of running away from things. They could have easily taken one step to the side and they would have been totally fine. It's not like they didn't have time to react. The rock came from all the way up there. You can still have the rock destroy the cannon without making the stormtroopers look even more fucking stupid than you already have in past episodes. Why did this guy let himself get run over by a rock? That was dumb. Boba then teleports again, but at least he had a lot of time to walk around behind them. What's confusing about this part is that the area behind the commander is very open. And there are like 3 stormtroopers behind the commander, which apparently didn't see Boba walking up behind him. We see one running in from the side here instead of shooting him, and we see another one runs in as well instead of shooting him. The second ship then arrives late, which makes me question why it was late when the ship is in orbit. It's not like they're travelling that far. Why do they keep coming in waves like this? It's really dumb. Why not just easily overwhelm them with your troops? Or if you really want to split them up, employ some kind of strategy.
He just threw his blaster down before he died. And instead of just shooting her, he's gonna run in and die. And he's just standing there waiting to die. And I have plenty of a chance to shoot her, but I'm just gonna run in and die.
Give yourself up. We don't want you. We want the child.
The stormtroopers have plenty of time to shoot her, and they were all aiming directly at her. There is no reason why they need her alive or why they would want to take her prisoner. Then they don't see the Mandalorian walk in behind Mulan. The show acts like he stepped out from a rock, like it's a big reveal, but the area behind Mulan is completely clear. The stormtroopers should have easily seen him coming, and yet they are totally shocked. What are you looking at? He's just standing out in the open, staring out into space like he's confused and he doesn't know what the hell he's supposed to do. Mando, the enemies are down below the rock, not up in the sky. Why do none of these stormtroopers shoot while they are being taken down one by one? And oh my fucking god, it's so dumb. This is one of the issues I was talking about in one of my previous videos, the Mandalorian armor problem. He just stands out in the open, getting shot at by an army, and because he's invincible, there are no stakes or tension here.
This isn't looking good.
I've seen worse.
Wait, why are they flipping over? I thought she was using him as cover. Then there's the army shooting at them, and she's fully exposed out in the open. I will admit the flipping over shot looks cool, but it doesn't make any sense. She should be taking the fire he's getting right now. Why are they not firing at her? Lady, who the hell are you shooting at up in the sky? What's with all these random slow motion shots? What's weirder is that they just keep cutting between real time and slow motion, which makes the edits really jarring. What is he doing? He's squatting down in slow motion like he's taking a shit. think the character direction is very poor, as none of the actors seem to know what the hell they're doing. Then we get Boba Fett in his armor. Cool shot, but what are these two fuckwits doing in the background? They're just looking really lost. Then a Half-Life 2 exploding barrel appears out of nowhere for Boba Fett to shoot. It's just there. You could say it was from the cannon, but that one already exploded. I guess Demeter Morrison put on weight, but you really don't notice it in the ropes. But in the armor, it's very easy to tell because it doesn't fit him. A simple fix would have been to easily get someone else in the armor while they had the helmet on, and only shoot him from the shoulders up when he took off his helmet. If Demeter Morrison really wanted to do the action in the armor, then make him lose some weight. Every other actor has to get into shape for their roles. Boba Fett is just far too jarring. I've heard other people say, well, he's old, but they aren't telling an old hero coming out of retirement story like Captain Rex, which, funny enough, his body type actually fits now. This is only 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so I guess those 5 years on Tatooine, there was a lot of McDonald's or something. It just looks very silly. I always say it's a cool fight and Boba Fett does kick ass, but what is Mando and Mulan doing in the background? They're not shooting anything, and they're just standing there like they don't know what the fuck they are doing. Mando then shoots up into the sky. They just keep sitting there in the background, not doing anything. Again, it's cool, but I'm confused about what actually just happened. Boba punches his belly, but then something sends the stormtrooper flying, like he attached a rocket to him, but there's nothing in his hand. He just punched him. What's happening here? Mando raises his gauntlet like he's about to use a gadget or something, but nothing comes out. Okay, this is cool. You got me. So when the cannon fires down, it fires down over there, but then it was right in front of them? The Dark Troopers look cool, but I'm still mixed on their design. I don't know why they remind me of Asimo, and not in a good way. Something about them is very jarring and they don't fit well into the look of Star Wars. I think the designs probably could have used a lot more work. So they're too late to stop them, and this is the reason why the Mandalorian forgot his jetpack so he couldn't follow. There are ways to work around things without just making your main character be fucking stupid. There are other things you could have done to get around the issue. Have them steal the child when they're still dealing with the stormtroopers. Wait, why are the Dark Troopers unarmed? Why don't they have blasters? They have blasters in the final episode, so why wouldn't they bring their blasters to this combat situation?
They're back. How? The Empire. They're back.
They know something shot down at the surface to blow up the ship. Then Mando sees the cruiser in orbit, but later they treat it like it's a big reveal when Boba sees the ship. Again, simple fix, just don't have Mando see the ship. You don't need him to see it. I'm noticing that a lot of the problems in this episode needed very simple fixes.
They're back. The Empire. They're back.
Because they have one frickin' light cruiser. This is supposed to be setting up some big Return of the Empire, but they don't even do anything with it. There are no other ships. There is a mention of a fleet, but we don't see any. They don't even set up Moff Gideon working under someone else, like Thrawn, before they defeat him. So the setup is yet to be paid off. They should have really established in the final episode that this was a bigger operation.
That can't be. The Outer Rim is under the jurisdiction of the New Republic.
What the hell are you on about? Tython is in the deep core, unless they have retconned the location of Tython to be in the Outer Rim. If this is true, it's confusing why they decide to pick Tython as a place to go when they keep removing it further and further from its lore. I could have sworn that they mentioned somewhere in The Mandalorian that Tython was in the deep core, but they didn't. So I suppose the lore was so ingrained into my mind that I didn't realise that they had probably changed its location. But if they really are in the Outer Rim, why is it so surprising that the Imperial Remnant are there? I thought the whole point of the Outer Rim was that they were supposed to be hard to police. That's why there was so much crime. Anyway, I think I've gone over all the problems I can find. If there are any other problems I have missed, be sure to tell me about them. It does pain me to critique something I really do enjoy, but I expect a higher standard from Lucasfilm. A lot of these issues just need simple fixes, and the bigger ones could have easily been done with redrafting. I in no way hate The Mandalorian, but it aggravates me to no end to see sloppy production work and writing. There may have been reasons behind the scenes, but it doesn't get around the end result. So anyway, if you do want to support my work, then you can support me through Streamlab donations and Patreon. Even if you cannot financially support me, leaving a like, comment and sharing my video really does help me with the algorithm. The reason why it helps me in the algorithm is that you're telling YouTube you loved my video so much you interacted with it twice and you shared it. So that way more people can see my work for themselves and I can grow my audience. If you want to chat and socialise, there is my official Discord in the description. I hang in there often, and if any of you want to follow what I'm up to, there's always Twitter. Thank you all for watching, and this is Shiny, signing off.